Chapter 9 of our text has been about confidently delivering your message. The first part was choosing the right delivery method. Second was using your voice. Third was using your body. Now, fourth, it's about communication and public speaking apprehension. Some of you probably waited to take this course until the very end of your time at Wake Tech because you were anxious, nervous about taking a public speaking course. Taking it online is certainly difficult. It's easy to take it in seat. So what is communication apprehension? It refers to an individual's level of fear or anxiety associated with real or anticipated communication with one person or another. So it falls into three basic categories. The first is physiological or physical. The second is psychological, and the third is behavioral. Let's look at the first. When you anticipate speaking before an audience, you'll find out that your pulse increases in rapidity, your mouth gets dry, you start sweating, some shallow breathing, shaky hands and knees come about. You might stammer and stutter, and your throat might actually constrict, your voice might quiver, and you'll have all kinds of butterflies or gastrointestinal issues going on. Sometimes you might get some heat flashes and dizziness, and sometimes you might just lose focus and have a loss of concentration. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? But we all experience these physical manifestations to one degree or another. Beginning speakers probably experience more than those who are somewhat experienced in speaking and have had some practice. Psychological manifestations are more difficult to treat because you don't see them. They're not observable. And what they speak to is our fears. And there probably is a connection between psychological and physical. And it may be the psychological fears that induce the physical fears. So these fears, they may be real or imagined. They're still a part of us. There are 6 obstacles to effective speaking. The first is fear of criticism or being judged negatively, and we all have this. Fear of forgetting. We all think we might forget. That's why it's good to have an outline with sufficient information to jog your memory. Third is fear of embarrassment or humiliation because you've not done as well as you could or as you could. Fourth is fear of failure. Fifth is fear of the unknown. And then sometimes it's feared from some bad emotional experiences in the past where you've had an opportunity to speak and you've got negative criticism from it. Coming to terms with what gives you anxiety probably is one of the best ways to deal with that anxiety. When you can isolate that, then you can deal with some of the more physical or physiological symptoms. Behavioral manifestations of speech anxiety is defined as the degree of assumed speaker anxiety that is actually perceived by the observers based on what they see the speaker doing. So can they see that you are nervous? Unlike physiological and psychological aspects of anxiety, behavioral manifestations are observed by audience members. So audiences receive information from and they make judgments about all of your paralanguage, your volume, pitch, rate, your pauses, your vocal variety, your you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying? And so like your physical actions in terms of eye contact, gesturing, body movement, and all of these observations influence the audience's members' perceptions of you as a speaker in terms of your credibility as well as your level of anxiety. The more anxious you are, the audience will attribute this to a variety of reasons. You haven't prepared well, you're just an overall nervous person, and you'll make them nervous. Very often there's a connection between the speaker's nervousness and the audience's nervousness. So what can you do then to control public speaking apprehension? One, of course, is this is what you're doing, and that is take a public speaking course that gives you opportunities and knowledge to practice your skills. Second, remember, it's not about you, it's about your ideas and presenting them in a powerful, concise, clear fashion. So focus attention on your ideas and not yourself. And think of the audience, visualize that the audience is on your side. Reframe your message. Turn all negative thoughts into positive thoughts. Instead of thinking that I'm going to lose my place, remind yourself that you want to look poised and confident. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Is one of the best ways to reduce anxiety. Some individuals who are anxious about speaking in public spend a great deal of time developing their speech in terms of content, but they rarely practice the delivery. Take several deep breaths. Deep breathing has a calming effect on your body and mind. And again, remember that you will be your worst critic. Audience members are relatively forgiving and they do not expect perfection. Gain skill and confidence by choosing to speak as many times as you have opportunity. Look for opportunities to speak. Visualize your success as a speaker. Create powerful mental images of yourself preparing and going up to the podium and looking out at the audience and smiling and presenting it well and enjoying the applause of the audience. Release attention through assertive and animated delivery. This will give you a better performance and, of course, release some of that nervous energy. Another thing you can do is what is referred to as systematic desensitization. People have learned to associate anxiety with public speaking, and you want to reverse that impression, reverse that opinion, so that you are not anxious when you get ready to speak in public. In fact, you want to look forward to enjoying the opportunity to express your ideas to an audience. Again, positive visualization is what athletes do, creating powerful mental images of you succeeding and winning. Athletes do this and it helps them succeed, and I don't see why we couldn't in terms of public speaking. And of course, release your tension. The last aspect of this chapter deals with managing questions. Be sure to leave some time at the end of your presentation, once you have concluded, to ask for questions. All right, make sure it's after your conclusion. You ask the audience, are there any questions? Now, it might be appropriate to this particular context, and it might not be. Ask the person who has invited you to speak. So cue your audience when you are nearly out of time for questions by saying we have time for one more question, or saying we must stop, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for questions. So after the questions are done, you want to have a second closing, a second kind of conclusion to end the speech. This reinforces your message and creates a sense of closure and completeness. Otherwise, it's awkward when you finish with the last few questions. All right, that's the essence of the chapter, confidently delivering your message.